Welcome back to Top 5 Repairs. How do you know you have a bad engine mount and it's time to replace it? Before you replace the engine mount, it is important to understand how an engine mount works. A basic engine mount is made up of rubber and steel. And there are a lot of different types of engine mount. Some engine mounts are filled with hydraulic fluid made out of a glycol-based substance. And when the engine mount fails, the glycol-based substance or hydraulic fluid can start to leak out of the engine mount, and this will reduce the engine mount function. Some engine mount uses vacuum. For example, on some Honda, on the front engine mount uses vacuum, and the vacuum helps stiffen up the engine mount. When the engine mount becomes stiffer at idle, you'll notice lesser vibration and you'll have a better ride quality. What are the signs that it's time to replace the engine mount? And the first sign is when you shift from park to drive or park to reverse and you hear a loud clunking noise or loud knocking noise, it is time to change that engine mount. The next sign that you know that it's time to change the engine mount is going to be vibration. You're going to notice vibration, especially at idle. You're going to feel it at the brake pedal when you're stepping on it. If you have multiple failed engine mount, the vibration can be quite intense. For example, you might notice that the driver's side window or the passenger side windows or any windows on the vehicle may start to shake. So how do you check if you have bad engine mount? Well, for some vehicle, it is easy to check the engine mount because there's a lot of space inside the engine bay and you can visually see it. For some vehicle, there is no space and you can't even see the rear engine mount or the front engine mount, and sometimes you can't even see the side engine mount. In that case, if I think there are multiple failed engine mount, what I like to do is I like to grab onto the engine and I like to rock it. If I can easily rock the engine and the engine start to move from side to side or from front and back, then I know there are multiple failed engine mount. And if you have multiple failed engine mount, the engine and the transmission may start to sag slightly and you can actually see it sagging a bit. So how do you check if you have bad engine mount? And it's very simple. All you have to do is rev the engine. And if you see the engine jumping up like this, then you know one or more engine mount have failed. Another way I like to check for a bad engine mount is placing a floor jack right underneath the engine oil pan and jack up the engine a bit. When you jack up the engine a bit, you should feel resistance. If you don't feel any resistance and you're able to jack up the engine maybe about more than an inch, then you know the rubber on the engine mount have already broken off or is cracked and it's no longer working properly. Inspecting an engine mount is very simple. All you have to do is look at the rubber. If the rubber looks extremely cracked, go ahead and change the engine mount. Also, if rubbers are missing on the engine mount, again, replace that engine mount. As mentioned earlier, some engine mounts are filled with hydraulic fluid. So make sure to check for leaks coming out of the engine mount. And again, as mentioned earlier, some engine mount uses vacuum. So there's going to be a vacuum line attached to it. Make sure that vacuum line is not cracked and make sure that vacuum line is still attached to the engine mount. I hope you found this lesson useful. As always, thank you for watching and subscribe to Top 5 Repairs.